about Wreck-It Ralph. I did not have the pleasure of seeing that one.
Okay.
And I meant to see it, but it just never happened, and I'll have to wait till the DVD comes out in February. But tell me why this sort of struck a chord with you.
Well, I saw it 2 times. I saw it, the very first time I saw it by myself, and then the second time I saw it, I was lucky enough to be able to see it with 3 of my nephews, who are, you know, very young, and who obviously an animated movie like this is, you know, geared right for them. But there was enough humor and I think, you know, smart attention to detail in the storytelling that this was something that adults were going to enjoy as much as kids, especially adults that are around my age who grew up playing video games, who a lot of the characters in this movie are going to feel familiar to.
Right.
You see people like Sonic the Hedgehog, the guys from Street Fighter, you know, different racing games and adventure games and first-person shooters and all of those types of things. And it was really well done because there's a lot of depth of field of each of the games that you see the characters go through. There's a game that's kind of like a Halo or a Medal of Honor type of game that they go into, and you see kind of like the details of a first-person shooter and, you know, these, you know, the villains that they fight and all of these things. And then you see a racing game and how there's this elaborate world constructed around this racing game and how the tracks go through the town. And I thought it was really well done, and I think animation is the only format you could use to tell a story of something like video games.
Right.
And where this movie excelled and really set itself apart from, I think, a lot of the animated movies that came out this year, aside from maybe Brave, was I think the voice cast was brilliant. I think the best thing about this movie, aside from the lush, you know, visuals and the really good storytelling and the humor, I think the absolute best thing about this movie was the vocal performances. John C. Reilly has this really good hangdog charm that allows you to really see, you know, well, you hear it through his voice.
Right.
You see kind of like kind of the grumpy, goofy sadness of this character, Ralph, who is the villain of his own video game, but realizes how lonely and sad he is, that, you know, people don't love him. And so he decides he's going to turn things around by becoming a hero. So he figures if he can't be a hero in his game, he'll go to a different game and be a hero. And so as he travels through different games, he meets different characters and kind of learns about himself and learns who he really is, and he kind of shows other people that he can be heroic.
Right.
And I thought it was a really cool story, especially for kids, where they talk about, you know, it's okay to accept yourself for who you are. The character who's voiced by Sarah Silverman, Vanellope von Schweetz, who's a race car driver in her racing game. She has a glitch, which means the other characters in the game, they don't like her because they think because of her glitch, it means people aren't going to like the game. And so she's not allowed to race. And so he has to help her become a racer, which has always been her dream. And she, you know, again, the self-acceptance message that goes through this movie, I think is a really, really important message for kids to hear. But they don't get too heavy-handed with it. It's not sad or sappy. You know, there's a little bit of emotion, which is good for an animated movie, but I think they keep it light. I think they keep it fun. And again, it's beautifully voiced. Jack McBrayer as Fix-It Felix has the perfect type of voice for a video game character, if you know who Jack McBrayer is. Jane Lynch does a really good job as Sergeant Calhoun, who's the tough alpha lady who leads the military squads in the first-person shooter. She's really good. Has this really gruff, commanding voice, which I like. And, you know, a lot of movies that are animated fail in the fact that they want to get big names to put above the title. They want to go, so-and-so is this character, and they go, oh, people will come and see it because it's this really famous person. And they don't pick people who have really distinct and charismatic and interesting voices, but they did a really good job of choosing those types of people to be in this. It's one of the things that Pixar generally excels at, is finding the right types of voices for their characters. And Disney Animation Studios that did Wreck-It Ralph did a brilliant job at this, and I think for the first time has really, really excelled in doing a computer animated movie. So I liked it a lot.
Well, and I know for me, when I'm looking at animated movies, I agree with you with the voice acting and having strong voices. Just because they're recognizable voices doesn't mean that they're good voices. I've studied voice acting and things like that, and it's a difficult, and not everyone can do it. Not everyone has that ability to do it. So it's good that they were able to match a cast that fits with the characters in that development.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and the single best thing about it, I thought, was Sarah Silverman's vocal performance as Vanellope von Schweetz. And I have been not the biggest fan of Sarah Silverman in the past. I think there's times she's really funny. I think there's times she falls a little bit flat in her attempts to be funny because she goes so big. But she does a really good kind of little girl voice for this that's sassy and smart and really biting when she makes wisecracks. It's really, really good, and I think it's the best work that she's done that I've ever seen.